Hello, hello. The reason I'm actually recording this video is because of the fact that someone is essentially forcing me to make these videos, and that I've also decided, hey, since some newer players might have questions as to what gun they might want to play with, or how to get good at the game with certain guns, so this is going to be a weapons tier list. I will just also be honest about this. I'm not going to be including snow cannon because that's a seasonal weapon. And I also apologize for the horrible images. Anyways, let's begin. Heavy Sniper, this thing is instantly S tier. This is S tier because it has a high skill floor and a high skill ceiling, so this is not recommended for newer players. But if you're a decent player, you can aim, you can take this thing, and you can get absolutely absurd games. Because what this does is that it just two-shots basically anyone off the face of the earth. That's a simple way of saying it. You see players like yours truly, Sweat Gamer, Ukraine's Dude, and just all of these other great players with the gun. Like, we also can't just immediately forget Godak, because Godak can land some insane snipes with this thing. So this thing is instantly S tier because it's absolutely overpowered in basically every single statistic there is. It has good bullet damage, good range, good velocity, good accuracy, a good fire rate, which is better than what it should have. And what you get is just a weapon that, in the hands of a good player, is overpowered, yet in the hands of a new player, is absolutely horrible. So my recommendation for newer players, stay away from this thing. When you can actually aim, give it a try. Scar. It's a B tier weapon. It has a rather low bullet count, which is 20. And this thing has decent accuracy, decent damage, decent just overall performance, except for the magazine. So Scar isn't bad, you can definitely get something done with it, and this is an amazing weapon for newer players, because it kind of teaches them how you play with assault rifles in this game. It's a good weapon for what it is. And it's a solid weapon. Nothing about it is particularly horrible except for the magazine. 9mm burst, this thing is overpowered. 4 bullets, 4 bursts for a mag of 16. When what you can do is, if the other guy doesn't have Kevlar, you can walk up to them, fire a burst, point blank, and if all 4 shots hit, they explode. It's that simple. And with how close range most Battledudes matches are, you can just take this and you can get some really effective kills, so to say. Because theoretically, you could one-shot someone. And also, this is a spray and pray gun. You just aim in the general direction, fire your 16 bullets, and hope they die. If they don't die, find another target, basically. It's that simple. Literally no skill floor and a somewhat high skill ceiling. Newer players, if you want a pistol, take this thing. MP5, A tier. I only put this A tier is because it's somewhat dependent on you being really close to your opponent. And this is somewhat dependent on map choice as well. Because if you get a map, let's say Riverside, unless it's a choke point, or unless you're using cover, you're probably not going to be that effective with this gun. And I can say this because I've actually played with it. And I've actually played quite a lot with it. And MP5 truly shines when it's in compound. Because that's where everyone is basically forced to play close quarters, and the MP5 is an amazing weapon for that case. So for newer players, this too would actually be a good weapon. You can learn the ins and outs of the game, basically. AK, A tier. It's an instant A tier. Think of it as a Scar, but you buff it in every way possible. You get better accuracy, slightly better fire rate. You get, what now? 10 extra bullets, by the way. So what you get is an assault rifle that's an amazing jack of all trades type of weapon. There's nothing the AK is bad at, and for a new player, it's an amazing weapon because you can basically do all with it. For an M4, just apply everything I said about AK, put it on a gun, nerf it, and then you got the M4. Nerf everything except for magazine size, basically. And one Garand, This is the hard one. For number one Garand, I'll put this thing C tier. C tier because it has absolutely zero skill floor and it has an alright skill ceiling. But the thing is, this requires the most brain dead gameplay to actually make use of the weapon, which is the single reason why I hate it, because like you do somewhat need aim, but it's not like that rewarding either or anything, so nothing about this is particularly good. You do get a somewhat high fire rate and somewhat decent bullet damage, but you're going to have to be reloading quite often because you only get 12 bullets. Vector, this thing's actually not. This thing is C tier. C tier just solely because of the fact that you could walk up to someone and spray them, but it's not good at all. Like, for a newer player, don't even take this thing because you're going to die all the time. And for an experienced player, you should only take this on a close quarters map, and if you are confident in your own ability to actually play an ambush style type of gameplay. The stock pistol, I'm gonna put a D here. You know why? And it's just because that basically every other pistol is better. Deagle, I'm putting this D tier as well. It's absolutely abhorrent. You have 7 bullets, yet it's basically a 3 to 4 shot. You're not going to get anything consistent with this, especially when compared to other pistols. FAMAS, absolutely broken. If you look at good players like Amphibian, NeckG, and some other people who use FAMAS, you can see how good it is. High skill floor, high skill ceiling, very high reward gun. And it's a burst gun, meaning that if you land a burst, the other person is pretty much screwed. It's good at all ranges. You can literally go up front and like up close and personal. You can do, it's basically an AK, but then you concentrate it into bursts, if you know what I mean. So for a newer player, do not touch the gun at all whatsoever, because it will require some aim, some skill, and some game knowledge. But once you actually have that, take this thing because it's overpowered. P90, garbage, do not take this. 50 bullets per mag is a scam. You're not going to do any damage. You're not going to literally get any kills. You're literally going to get killed on the spot, basically. Auto shotgun, B tier, just because like this is really good for a new player, but it's pretty darn abhorrent, if I can say it that way. It's a pretty darn abhorrent weapon because it's just brain dead. The gameplay itself is brain dead, but it's good for new players because they can learn shotguns and they can learn how to actually play at close quarters. Sawed off, it's a D tier. If you're a new player, sure, you can try this, but you'll die more often than you actually kill someone. Just because of the sole fact that if you take this weapon, you are dependent on a single perk and a single perk only, and that is extended magazines. If you don't have it, it's junk. If you have it, then it becomes like a B tier type of weapon. So actually, it wouldn't even be D tier, it'd be C tier-ish. Because you could make it work, but only with extended mags. If you don't have it, it's really hard to make it work. Falcon, I'm putting this thing C tier. Imagine a SCAR where you trade everything except for mag size for damage, just pure damage per shot, which isn't even that substantial. If you're a new player, sure, you could take it, but it's not going to be consistent. Revolver, horrendous. Do not take this thing. It's basically a Deagle, but even worse. It's advertised as a 2-shot, but it's actually just a 3-shot. So it's a worse Deagle. Pump shotgun, A tier. This thing is A tier just because of the fact that if you shoot someone once in their face, they're pretty much dead. And it's a high skill floor, high skill ceiling gun. You can be extremely effective with it. And you do need to have at least some sort of aim with it because of how absolutely tight the bullets are, like the individual shots. They're extremely tight, meaning that sometimes you can get an amazing hit into someone and then quickly kill them with your sidearm, or just with a second shot. Light sniper, this is just bad. Light sniper is basically the definition of if heavy sniper and then when Garand literally merged with each other and gave the merge the worst parts of each other. That's what it is. M249. Do not take this if you're a newbie, because it actually has a mechanic many people don't know about, and that is the bloom mechanic. If you keep shooting on and on and on and on, like basically going full Commander Rambo type of thing, your accuracy just completely goes through the ground. It's basically as if it was hovering above the ground and then you pull out a shovel. That's how bad the accuracy goes. But like everything else about the gun is good. It's just good in terms of damage, it's good in terms of whatnot. Magazine size, and it's obviously designed for suppressive fire especially, and I could see this being used in comp. But if you were to take out in pubs, the best thing I tell you to do is to actually just basically find the guy and hopefully you kill him, because you kind of have to walk around. And the thing is, this is really bad against fighting crowds, because your fire rate isn't even that good. So if you find a crowd of people walking at you, it's best to run. It's best to just run. Because you're probably going to kill one or two, but you're going to die. Scene 5 Auto, I'm putting this thing as a B tier, just because of the fact that, well, for what it is, you could get a nice burst of 14 bullets, but it's not necessarily that good, because you don't have accuracy, nor do you have bullet damage. Burst SMG, which is an Uzi. I'm putting this in B tier. B tier because it's criminally underrated, and B tier also because if you can actually aim, this is a good weapon. Like, unbelievably, it's actually a good weapon. So high skill floor, high skill ceiling gun. It's just FAMAS, but it's basically FAMAS but compressed into an SMG. But still, I wouldn't say it's anything extraordinary, because it's basically capped in a slight way. As in a sort of, you can't do anything with this sometimes. Like sometimes, no matter what you do, you're just good. And finally, Crossbow. Crossbow. This thing's B tier. This thing is just B tier because of the fact that if you walk up to someone, fire both, they're dead. Doesn't matter whatever they have on, doesn't matter about their life choices, doesn't matter if they've joined Battledudes Pain, they're dead. 2 shots, gone. Wiped off the face of the earth, nothing happened here. But it's so skilled, like the skill floor is so high, yet the skill ceiling is so capped, to the point where it's like, if you're a new player, stay away from it, because unless you can walk up to someone, fire 2, and then land both, you're not going to kill anyone with it. You're just probably going to damage, you're probably just going to wound someone with it, and they'll probably run away. So that concludes it. And honestly, if you do want to see FAMAS gameplay in action, like good FAMAS gameplay, I'm going to send you the Nekji's video, which will be linked in the description. And if you want to see some overpowered sniper plays, I'll send you the GodX's video, which is also in the description. See you guys soon.